Hey everyone, I'm gonna wait a few minutes, just let everyone jump on. Hello, if you're watching the replay, just bear with me while I wait for everyone to jump on. I have a message tonight from Spirit, from Belie, Belcan, and Archangel Michael. This is a very important one. This is an important one. So, Archangel Michael and Belie were talking to me, and they expressed that humanity is moving into a place we're going through a huge transformation right now. We've been going through it. Last year was only the beginning of that transformation. And we're in the middle of it. It's going to last a few more years is what I'm told. But the good thing is that the few more years that it's going to last are supposed to be the years of rebuilding, of healing, of elevation. But we're still in the middle of it. We're still in the middle of the storm. And the reason why we're still in the middle of the storm is because humanity refuses to elevate. Humanity refuses to shed their old ways. And you're falling back into the same destructive, toxic patterns that we were in before. A lot of us are falling into the destructive patterns. A lot of us are falling back into the sense of entitlement, that we are entitled to something in this third dimensional world. We are falling back into the false belief that we know everything and that we don't have to listen to anything that is of higher consciousness. We are falling into toxic patterns of thinking that only our opinion matters and that only our voice matters and that the voice of others doesn't matter, that the needs of others don't matter. We're going from a period of testimony, meaning people like myself and other people that are intuitive telling you what they're feeling is coming, to a period of knowing, because now you're going to have to learn. In order to know, you have to learn on your own. So you may feel that a lot of intuitive people, a lot of people like myself, a lot of people that do this kind of spiritual work, that have dedicated their lives to this, are being asked by Spirit to pull back. And the reason for this is because there's a lot of people, not everyone, but there's a lot of humans that will not learn until they burn their hand. So this is the same situation as when your mom tells you a million times, the stove is hot, the stove is hot, the stove is hot, okay? That, we're not your parents. In my tradition, I am a mambo, so that is considered a mother of the society that is of my following. Now, of my patients, the people that I work with spiritually. So my job is to tell you the stove is hot. The stove is hot. Watch out. That's my job. My job is to tell you, hey, the stove is hot. Don't touch it. It's hot. You're going to burn your hands, right? But if you don't choose to listen, and if you don't choose to listen to your spirit guides either, who are also saying, hey, the stove is hot, don't do that, or do this, and you choose to fall back into the same destructive, toxic patterns, then When you burn yourself, you have nobody to blame but you. Again, when you burn yourself, you have nobody to blame but you. Spirituality is not supposed to be a trend. Spirituality is not supposed to be Amazon Prime. In the spiritual world, the customer is not always right, because otherwise, why would you need your spirit guides? Why would you need spiritual teachers if the customer is always right? That doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. The customer in this case is not right, because if your energy is effed up, you're not going to know what's right or wrong for you. That is the reason why you seek out help. That is the reason why you seek out a mentor. That is the reason why your spirit guides may send you to someone, to a sacred practice, who practices, who dedicates themselves to clearing their energy. Not everyone is like that. I can only speak for myself. But we're going from a place from, like I said before, where we have started to, in the spiritual community, we have started to apologize for saying the truth, and that's not okay. And I caught myself apologizing for speaking the truth a lot in the last year. And I'm not going to do that anymore. My spirit guides have asked me to speak the plain truth. I've always tried to speak the truth as much as possible. But I've always, there's been times when I've apologized for speaking the truth. You know right from wrong. We all know right from wrong. We all know that killing is wrong, whether it's a fetus or whether it's a full-grown adult. We all know that stealing is wrong. We all know that A, B, or C is wrong or right based on our own intuitive abilities, based on our connection with spirit. You don't even need a religion to tell you that. You don't even need a religion to tell you what's wrong or right. You don't need a religion to tell you to respect spirit and to respect God or to respect the higher power, because the higher power is you. You are also, you have a higher self. There are multiple parts of the soul. You have a part of the soul that is a higher self. Your higher self knows what's right or wrong for your path. Your higher self knows what's right or wrong for how you treat others around you, because we are all one. That which you do to others, you are doing to yourself. That is the law of one, the law of oneness. That which you do to others, you are doing to yourself. And then in turn, as you hurt others, you're hurting yourself. As you project onto others, you're projecting onto yourself. Everything is a reflection. Everything. We live in, I like to call the third dimension the mirror realm. Because none of the crap here is real, but everybody else thinks it is. None of the crap that is going on, I'm not even going to say excuse my language. None of the crap that's going on in the third dimension is actually of any value, of any truth. We are living in a mirror dimension, a mirror of the fifth dimension and of other dimensions that are much higher consciousness. This third dimensional world we live in is literally a projection of our own creation, of our higher selves. And the relationships that we came in here with, the relationships we came here to experience, are part of our soul's journey. And the lessons that we came here to experience are part of our soul's journey. And those lessons are carried by our soul. So we ask others to lie to us because it makes us feel comfortable. But what is the value of someone lying to you if that lie creates a bigger problem in your life? Because it is too hard for you to hear the truth. Everything that I said last year has come to pass and is coming to pass. A lot of the things. I lost friends, I lost followers for saying what I said. I lost people that had followed me for a long time for saying what I said. I was accused of having spiritual attachments because I was calling out the things and the lies that were being told to us in the third dimension by these people that are controlled by dark forces. And these things are starting to come out to the light. And more of it is going to come to light because when you take the time to connect with your spirit guides and you take the time to respect your spirit guides and respect the spirit guides of your teachers and respect the spirit guides that are put in your path to guide you, you are able to start to notice the cracks in the programming of the third dimensional mirror dimension. Funny enough, nothing that happens here, right, in the third dimension, in a way, doesn't really permanently damage the other dimensions, but yet has a ripple effect, which causes the other dimensions to be slowed down. This is kind of hard to explain. There's a way that Belie, Belcan, and Archangel Michael are explaining to me is very visual. So we are affected by those spiritual dimensions, but we are very limited in our ability to affect the spiritual dimensions. There's only so much we can project into the spiritual dimensions. And because everything ends up getting rebounded back here. So it's like a loop. So everything you throw out into the spiritual world re-loops back here. So it doesn't permanently stay in the spiritual dimension. It just loops back and loops back and loops back and loops back, and then forces us to relearn the lesson over and over and over again. Because everything you put out, you get in return. If you put out the energy of, I undervalue myself, you get in return people who don't value you. That's a lesson I had to learn. If you put out the energy of, I love and respect myself, you get back that energy. If you put out the energy of, I hate myself, even if you don't think you do, you see people to hate, and you attract hate back to you. Someone asked me why they attracted narcissists. And I said, the reason why you attract a narcissist, is what Spirit told me, is because you project lack of confidence. You project a need that they want to exploit. A lot of the times, people who attract narcissists don't attract narcissists because they're bad people or because they're unworthy of love, but because they love so greatly and they are desperate for love and validation, that the narcissist can smell that from miles away. It's like a shark with blood in the water. So the narcissist smells your desire and your desperation for love and says, oh, I can exploit this. I can use this in my favor, right? And this person will just continue to give and give and give and give and give. And then once they dry up that well, they move on to another well. Because the narcissist can smell the blood in the water. The shark can smell the blood in the water. So it's an endless cycle. And then you wonder, why do I always attract the same type of people? Why do I always attract the same man? Why do I always attract the same friends? Why do I always attract the same whatever? And the reason for that is because those are unhealed shadows. When you avoid healing something, remember, we're going from the testimony to the knowing. When you avoid healing something, you avoid confronting an aspect of this dimension's lessons. Let's say you were born with very abusive parents, or you were born with a father that was absent. Then you will always seek out men that are unavailable, because your energy says, I don't care, my father was absent, but all I care about is having a little bit of your attention. I don't care if it's even a lot of it. I just want a little bit of it. If you have a mother that is very cold, very disconnected, you may attract females into your life that are that way as well. Very cold, very disconnected, not open to being vulnerable. Or it could be the opposite, where you become cold and disconnected, and the people who try to reach out to you can't break through that shell, because you're still carrying with you that lesson, and you haven't cut cords with that lesson. You haven't cut cords with that shadow aspect or that healing that needed to happen. And a lot of people, and this is not just psychology, this is energy. I'm talking about energy here. I'm talking about energy, and I'm talking about the energy that is sent out into the world. There's a lot of confused energy right now because, again, as we start to go back to work, as we start to do whatever, we're going back to working with our coworkers, or we're going back to interacting with certain people because now we don't have these restrictions, right? We're starting to pull back again from connecting to nature or meditating or whatever, and going back into the same toxic cycles. Not everyone, but many are. And that is why we experience a delay in the elevation as a whole, because the whole is only as strong as each individual. So you may see a lot of, like I said, intuitive people like myself, people that do the type of work that I do, pull back because spirit is forcing us to pull back our energy, because we've done all the testimony we can. Now all we can do is watch as either you don't burn your hand because you don't touch the stove, or you burn your hand and you have to learn the hard way. And this is not like your spirit guides are trying to control you and, oh my God, they want to tell you what to do. No, literally their job is to guide you. It's to guide you. It's to say, hey, the stove is hot. But if you choose that you want to touch the stove, they're going to be like, honey, boo-boo, kitty, touch the stove. I don't know what to tell you. Like, just touch it. And that's just where it's going to kind of be. But all lessons are required for the purpose of elevation. I think that it's important to Spirit for us to be more conscientious to the fact that just because you don't want to feel judged, or just because you don't want to feel like you're judging someone else, because that's not what we're doing here. We're not judging someone else. We're not feeling judged when we say it's okay to dialogue and express the truth and be willing to shed what you think you know for achieving a sense of oneness and receiving higher knowledge from a soul level, not just from a what is convenient level, because that is where we have fallen behind from other higher consciousness, because we think that what is convenient, because it's convenient for me, because it's positive for me, then that must mean that it's positive for everyone. And that's not the case. Just because something is convenient for you and makes it possible for you to do something does not mean that someone else is not going without. Just because something is convenient for you does not mean that it may be good. Or let's flip the script. Just because something is not what you want, right? Let's say you asked for apples, but you got bananas. Just because Spirit may give you something that you need over what you wanted does not mean it is negative. A lot of people get tricked by trickster spirits because they think that their spirit guides should always say yes to them. Your spirit guides should never say no to you. You are the king of the world. So your spirit guides should never say no. That's not true. My spirit guides say no more times than I can count. Just because your spirit guides don't say yes to you all the time does not mean that they're not positive. On the flip side, if you have a spirit guide that is constantly telling you yes, 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 yes to everything, and your life is falling apart, then that means that you are definitely not on the right path. Because when your spirit guides are guiding you in the right direction, when it is truly your spirit guides guiding you, things will just click into place and you won't even understand why. And okay, you might have a little stumble here and another stumble there, but those are your true spirit guides trying to block the way. Because if you have a trickster telling you yes, but your true spirit guides are saying no, your true spirit guides will block the path, and they'll put blocks and they'll put blocks and they'll put blocks. And then you're like, but my spirit guides are telling me yes, so I don't understand why I keep hitting these roadblocks. You keep hitting these roadblocks because your true spirit guides didn't say yes. They said no, but your ego told you yes, or the trickster spirit that you got attached to you told you yes. And because it was telling you what you wanted to hear, you were like, okay, yes, 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 I'm going to do it. And then when you did it, your true spirit guides are like, where are you going? Where are you going? That's not the path you were supposed to follow. Am I making sense here? So, same thing with listen to your intuition. Your intuition, it's very hard for your intuition to lie to you. It's very hard. It's like your gut feeling here. Your gut feeling always knows better. Even if your head and your heart are trying to pull you in a different direction, that solar plexus cannot be fooled. That solar plexus is like, girl, that is not the right way. Like, does she see me? Boy, excuse me if you're not a girl. But your solar plexus will never lie to you. That's your gut. That's your gut feeling, right? Your solar plexus is where these high vibrational beings connect. And your solar plexus will be like, And even though you have that stomach ache, right? Like that solar plexus is like, girl, don't do it. You're like, okay, I guess I should do it because my ego is telling me yes, and my ego is confusing my heart, so that my heart doesn't know what to do. So therefore, I'm gonna ignore my solar plexus, even though my solar plexus, where my spirit guides are really trying to get me to hear them, is saying no. I'm going to say yes because my ego is saying yes, and the trickster spirit that is attached to me is saying yes, and I think that, I know everything, so therefore the trickster spirit must be right. Your spirit guides may sometimes tell you white lies in order to make you do what's your highest good. So if your spirit guides are willing to lie to you sometimes, what makes you think that a trickster won't? That a spirit that just is walking around, right? Or that your ego won't lie to you. When even your spirit guides tell you little white lies sometimes, just to get you to move your butt. Like, okay, well, they see, okay, so what is it that you're caught up on? Are you caught up on that man? Are you just like caught up on that guy and you just won't let him go? And like every reading you get is about that guy, and everything you do spiritually is about that guy or that girl. Excuse me, I'm not just speaking to the girls in the room, I'm speaking to the men in the room too. Is it always about that man or that woman? That every single reading you get, everything you do spiritually is about getting that man or getting that woman. Everything you do spiritually, everything you do magically is about them. It's never about building yourself spiritually, because I have come across a lot of people like this. It's never about building yourself spiritually. It's always about, how do I get my man? How do I get my woman? How do I get this? How do I get that? So your spirit guides may say to you, well, you need to get initiated, because that's what's going to get you this man. They may tell you a little white lie in order to get you to follow your true path. So let's say you were supposed to be a priestess or a priest, and you won't follow your path because you don't want to put in the work. You are not interested in that path right now because you're lost listening to your ego and to the unsolved shadows that want you to follow that man. Your spirit guides may be like, okay, so if the only thing that will motivate him or her to do what they have to do is that man, I'm going to keep that man over there and I'm going to just dangle them and use them as a little carrot to get you to move your ass and do what you're supposed to do. If you want a business, if you want to be doing a particular thing, let's say this is not just a man, let's say it's a business, right? And you just don't want to do the work. You just like, I don't want to do, there's just so much work to do a business, but you hate your job. Like, you just hate going to that job. And Spirit has told you a million times, you're not supposed to be working for other people. You're not supposed to be doing it, blah, blah, blah. You're not supposed to be doing it like this. You're supposed to be a nurse. You're supposed to be a doctor. You're supposed to be whatever, right? But you're like, I'm just going to stay at this retail job because I don't want to do the work of going to medical school. Or I don't want to do the work of going to law school. Or I don't want to do the work of owning my own business or whatever. So Spirit will say, okay, Spirit will make it so difficult for you to work at that retail job. Every job you get, you're going to hate it. Every person you meet in every single job is gonna be envious of you, is gonna have evil eye, is gonna be like giving you the dirty looks, is gonna be like you start off really well and all of a sudden in a week everybody hates you or you hate everybody else in that job. And that is because you're not following your true path. Again, back to the Spirit is telling you the stove is hot, but you want to put your hand on it. Put your hand on it. I just throw that song. So every time, excuse me, Sam got me a really big balloon. I had to readjust myself on the couch. So every time you go to do anything, any job, it doesn't matter what job. You could be working for the president of the United States of America or whatever. And if Spirit is like, you're supposed to be a doctor, you're going to be like, but I'm the president of the United States of America. And I'm not happy. I don't feel fulfilled. Spirit is going to be like, well, let's make her life a living hell. You know what I learned recently, which is really interesting? Your angels sometimes use demons to move your ass. They'll be like, well, they're not listening to us, so maybe if we set off some dark entities, then we'll push them to get the help they need and push them onto the right path. There have been times, a few times, not every time. There have been a few times where I've encountered demonic entities that were literally placed there by your guardian angel because you're such a stubborn person that you will not listen unless everything falls apart and you get into this horrible accident, God forbid, and you don't do anything unless your life is literally on the floor. Your guardian angel's like, you won't listen to me. You won't listen to me. You won't listen to me. So Archangel Michael has to be like, yo, send one of these over there. Not to say that Archangel Michael is sending demons out on people, but what I'm saying is they do sometimes have to resort to placing a controlled dark force around you. A dark force that is under the angel's control so that you move your butt. So, because I know already, all of the spiritual gurus out there are going to come for me for saying that. But it is the truth, okay? If you study the sixth dimension, you'll know what I'm talking about. The archangels can control these dark forces if they need to get your ass to move. Sometimes, so we come back to the fact that sometimes you don't know better for yourself. Sometimes it is necessary to listen to someone who has the right intentions, because there are definitely mentors and healers out there that don't have the right intentions. But there are a lot of them who do have the right intentions, who are dedicated to mentoring. And healers don't just become healers out of nowhere. We become healers because we were born to be healers. Because we were born to be healers because we care so much. Man, we care so much that sometimes we pray to God that we stop caring. Because it's like, why do I care more about your well-being than you? Right now, this month, planetary-wise, is a huge month of transformation. Huge. So many retrogrades, so many shifts. We have a solar eclipse. We just had a lunar eclipse. Spirit will never give you a vision that is not already yours. Spirit will never give you a vision that is not already yours. Spirit will not give you a vision that is not already yours. The vision Spirit gives to you is already yours, as long as it feels right and feels true. Because sometimes we see visions that are for other people because we are envious and we want what they have. And that's not true vision. That's not a true vision. And you can tell the difference between a true vision and a false vision. A true vision hits you here. It hits you here in your heart. It hits you in your solar plexus. It's just something that attaches itself to your heart and you just can't let it go, and you just have this love for it. A false vision is usually stuck in your mind and has this haziness to it. But a true vision, you can feel it in your entire body. So if Spirit gives you a vision, it's already yours. But you have to do the work to pull it from the higher dimensional realm into this mid-dimensional world, into this third dimensional world. Spirit said to me the other day, I was astral traveling into another dimension, and I tried to do something in the third dimension that you can only do in that dimension. And Spirit said to me, you can't do that in the third dimension. In the third dimension, you have to use the atoms that are around you. You have to manipulate the third dimensional world by doing the physical work, and it can be assisted with the magical work. But the physical work still has to be done. The getting up, filling out the application, right? If you're going to apply to school, or if you're going to apply to this job, or whatever, or if you're going to fill out your business documents, you still have to do those physical items and then assist yourself with the magical. And then the magical travels through the spiritual realm and then is delivered back into the physical realm. If you don't know the steps to bring that vision, all you have to do is ask your spirit guides to show you the way. To show you the way. Quiet your mind, meditate. I go over this in my VIP group. Quiet your mind, meditate. How do you think Jesus received everything he received? The Christ, the title of the Christ, is a title of an ascended master. Okay? So I'm using Jesus as an example because he's not the only one. You have Buddha, you have Muhammad, you have all of these ascended masters, but it is believed that Jesus was the one who reached the highest ascension. The title of the Christ is a Greek word meaning he or she who is enlightened, who reaches the highest of enlightenment. Okay? There are other requirements for the Christ under other religions, but the main requirement of the Christ is to be enlightened. And if you listen to his journey, he walked through the desert alone, like the hermit in the tarot, who walks alone in his path and meditates, and through his meditation and alone time receives enlightenment. And that enlightenment is the path that you are meant to walk. If you don't like to actually read the Bible, you can watch the Bible, right? And if you watch it, you see that Jesus always takes these moments where he's alone in nature, and he goes to nature and he prays to God, and he says to God, if I'm meant to die, then, I accept it, and so on and so forth. But he prayed, and then he received back during his meditation the truth that it was his path to die the way that he was supposed to die, and that he would be betrayed. So he received the enlightenment through his meditations. He connected with nature and received his enlightenment through meditation. some historians believe that yes, Joshua did exist and that he traveled to places like India by foot and learned how to meditate. He read Sanskrit. He learned all these things. He went possibly to Egypt. Now, these are things that historians say. But the abilities to heal that Jesus had are very, very similar to a lot of the Reiki practices. And the Reiki is universal energy. But it's not just available through Reiki. It's available through a variety of different healing modalities. A lot of Native American practices, a lot of African practices have that. But everything starts with your connection to source, your connection to spirit. There is, as spiritual healers and spiritual guides, we are here to guide you as far as we have walked. That is why I've always said, if I don't have anything else to teach you, I have to send you on your way, because I can only guide you as far as I have walked. Okay? And every teacher is like that. Think about the people who have really truly been chosen by spirit, who have truly been crowned by spirit and are not just playing at being spiritual healers. We are like human spirit guides, and we assist your ethereal spirit guides, meaning we are just meant to be a guide, but we're not meant to rule your entire life or tell you how to do everything. We can guide you in some aspect. We can connect you. We're like a little bridge between you and your ethereal spirit guides. Because those of us who are born to be spirit guide, to be spirit healers, spiritual healers in this lifetime, we are on the path ourselves to spiritual ascension, to enlightenment. Just like our spirit guides are on their own path of enlightenment as well. The misterios, they each have a different path for enlightenment. That is why we serve them, they help us, and we give them work, right? They do work for us. They don't work for us, but they help us through their power. Why they're willing to assist us is because through assisting us, they also receive further enlightenment. But that doesn't mean that they're going to assist everyone and anybody who, especially anyone who disrespects them, because they respect themselves too much to allow that disrespect. Same thing goes for the Orishas, same thing goes with archangels. Archangels and Orishas are a little bit harsher because they're a lot less connected to earth than the Loas are. The Orishas and the archangels have never been human. They have never incarnated. They are guardians. They do not care about your boyfriend. They do not care about whether whether you want to stay at this job or not. If that is not your path, they will cut it. They don't care if you love him. If he is not for you, if she is not for you, they will cut them. Okay, so the Orishas and the Archangels are way harsher because they are about getting business done. They love you, but they're about getting business done and protecting you and getting you on the right path. They are not going to let you delay the path. The Loases are a little bit more understanding. Okay, that's who we work with in 21 divisions and in Vodun. The Loases, the Misterios, are a little bit more understanding because they have been human before. A lot of them have been human before. Not all of them, but a lot of them have been. So they're a little bit more understanding. They're a little bit more like, okay, we understand you make mistakes. Sometimes humans need to repeat the same mistake over and over and over again to get to a point. Another set of guides that really doesn't care about like burning the road to get you to where you need to be are the Gedeses. Although they have been human and they still have human vices, they still like to do their playing cards and playing dice and drinking their favorite liquor and eating their favorite food. The Gedeses will not care. They will turn your life upside down. They'll be like, well, you said you wanted that, so I gave you. But the Gedeses are beautiful beings. A lot of the Gedeses are guides that come from, there are African ancestors. But they kick ass when it's time, they kick ass. They don't care. They're like, let's go. Okay? The Radaloases, they're extremely loving. They're extremely forgiving. But don't get on their bad side because it takes a lot to get a Radaloa to get on their bad side. And then let's not even start talking about the Petroses. The Petroses will not take any excuses. Okay? So everything in the spiritual world has its place. But for some reason, we don't want to have that same order and organization in the third dimension. But everything in the spiritual world has its place and purpose. So that's all I'm going to leave you with tonight. Whew. Spirit had a lot to say today. I was just getting to you the messages that they wanted to deliver from Belie and Archangel Michael. I hope that you utilize this message and that it assists you in some way. I started it at 11:33 and it is now 12:22. So you have the choice. You have choices. Okay? One last thing. You have choices. You have the choice to continue acting the way that is making you unhappy and is making you not appreciative of what you have and it's making you go crazy, or you can choose to stop acting in the ways that are making you miserable and be able to attain happiness and peace and tranquility and whatever else and fulfillment. Whatever is meant to fulfill you and fulfill this purpose that you have in this lifetime. We all have a choice. We all have a choice. But don't be surprised if Spirit is not taking excuses anymore. This little coil. Don't be surprised if Spirit becomes harsher with you, or Spirit is a little bit more blunt, because it's like no more excuses. No more excuses. Belie Belcan is like, no more excuses. You've had millennia of excuses. The excuses are over. So Many blessings, and I hope you have a beautiful night. Be careful during Mercury retrograde. Don't be speaking things out there that will burn down all your bridges at once. Be careful. Many blessings.